What if everything you've been chasing, success, happiness, control, has been built on a lie you didn't even know you were telling yourself? What if the anxiety that follows you through your day, the dissatisfaction you can't explain, the pressure to figure it all out, isn't a sign that something is wrong with you, but something is wrong with the lens you've been taught to look through? Because here's the truth. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more hacks. You don't even need more time. You need a better framework, a shift in perspective so deep, it changes the way you see the world forever. And that's what you're about to get. Ancient philosophy isn't just dusty ideas in books. It's a manual for how to take back your mind, your emotions, your power immediately. By the end of this, you won't just feel better, you'll feel unshakable. Ever wondered what lies beyond the surface? Religion, philosophy, science, life's biggest mysteries. At Sleepless Minds, we dive into the unknown and challenge the answers. Like, subscribe, and join the quest for truth. The journey to understanding starts now. Sleepless Minds, dare to question. Chapter 1. Amor Fati, love of one's fate. Not merely to bear what is necessary, still less to conceal it, but to love it. Friedrich Nietzsche. The moment everything becomes beautiful. Let's begin with a strange image. A man walks through a fire, calm. Around him, ash swirls, wood splinters, the air chokes with smoke, but he walks with a kind of ease. Not because the fire doesn't burn him, it does, but because he's stopped running from it. This is the essence of amor fati, the love of fate. Not the mere endurance of it, not the resigned nod of someone who shrugs and says, I guess it is what it is, but something bolder, wilder, stranger. It's saying yes not only to the good and easy, but to the ugly and difficult. Not just saying it, but meaning it. That heartbreak you still flinch from remembering. That mistake you wish you could scrub from your story. That illness, that loss, that moment when everything seemed to unravel. Amor Fati says, this belongs. This is not just tolerable. This is yours. And if you dare, you can love it. Nietzsche's burning world. Nietzsche was not a man who lived a soft life. He suffered from chronic illness, from isolation, from misunderstanding. He was poor, frail, and ultimately died alone, and broken both in body and mind. And yet, out of that suffering, he forged a philosophy of steel. His idea wasn't comfort. It wasn't even hope. It was transformation. He wanted to turn suffering into strength, struggle into art, tragedy into triumph. Amor fati, let that be my love henceforth. I do not want to wage war against what is ugly. I do not want to accuse. I do not even want to accuse the accusers. Let looking away be my only negation. He's not saying, lie down and take it. He's saying, stand up and take it into your arms. To love your fate is to stop wishing your past had been different. It's to look at your scars not as stains, but as stories. The poison of regret. We often live in two places at once, what is and what might have been. And the gap between them is regret. Regret is the quiet torture of a mind that refuses to make peace with what happened. It gnaws at the edges of our contentment. It reruns scenes that cannot be changed. It fantasizes about what-ifs and if-onlys. Amor fati is the antidote. It doesn't numb you to the pain. It transforms it. It says, yes, it hurt. Yes, it broke something, but it also built something, and I will not reject the bricks that built me. When you stop resisting the past, you stop bleeding into the future. The fire doesn't leave, but you change inside it. This is not some utopian denial of suffering. In fact, it's a radical acceptance of it. But with a twist, most of us want to survive our pain. Amor fati asks us to integrate it, to make it a part of us so thoroughly that we no longer wish it hadn't happened. To say, yes, that betrayal taught me something irreplaceable. Yes, that failure humbled me, grounded me, changed me. Yes, that loss cracked me open, and in that brokenness I became real. There's a secret here. When you love your fate, it loses its power to wound you. Not because it stops being hard, but because it stops being the enemy. You and your story, however fractured, however strange, become allies. A modern dilemma, the war with what is. Modern life encourages dissatisfaction. Everything must be optimized, upgraded, improved. Even our own past. We spend energy trying to heal ourselves out of our history, as though we could edit our emotional timeline like a digital file. But life doesn't work that way. You can't remove your past. But you can redeem it. Not by rewriting it, but by re-seeing it. That's amor fati in action. It's not looking back with resentment. It's looking back with reverence. Even for the hard parts. Especially for the hard parts. How to practice amor fati. Philosophy should not live on a shelf. It should live in your mouth, your body, your spine. Here are ways to begin practicing amor fatino as a concept, but as a living posture. 1. Start with small yeses. You miss your train. You spill your coffee. You forget an important call. Instead of reacting with frustration, pause. Breathe. Say quietly, even ironically, amor fati. It's not about being cheerful. It's about choosing deliberately not to resist what already is. 2. Rewrite the narrative. Pick a painful moment from your past. Now write it again. Not differently, but from the point of view that it was necessary. That it was, somehow, perfect. What did it lead to? What did it protect you from? Who did it help you become? This isn't revisionism, it's reclamation. 3. Bless the broken things. Make it a ritual. Before sleep or upon waking, recall a hardship. Then whisper to it, like an old friend. You're mine. I won't throw you away. 4. Visualize the whole tapestry. Your life is not a single thread. It's a woven, tangled, textured tapestry. You can't pull one string out without unraveling the whole. That mistake, that detour, that tragedy, what if they're the threads that give the entire pattern its depth? The ultimate freedom. When you love your fate, you become invincible no because life stops hurting, but because hurt stops defining you. You are no longer the victim of your story. You become its author, its composer, its alchemist. Amor fati doesn't mean life will always be kind, but it means you can always be courageous. It means everything that happens, everything can serve a purpose. Even if the purpose is simply this, to make you more fully alive. And there's a strange, defiant joy in that. A joy that says, this too is mine, and I will not wish it away. I will love it into meaning. Chapter 2. Memento mori, remember you will die. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. The echo that follows us all. Somewhere in the background of your days, there's a whisper. A soft one. So soft you almost forget it's there. But it's always there. One day, this, whatever this is, will end. The sun will still rise, but you won't be there to see it. The moon will still wax and wane, but your eyes will be closed to it. The world will go on, and you will not. This is not a threat. It's a truth. And if you're brave enough to face it, it can be the most liberating idea you ever carry in your mind. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. Why would anyone want to think about death? At first glance, this idea seems cold, morbid, depressing, even. Why focus on death? Isn't that dark? Isn't that the opposite of what we're told? We are a culture obsessed with youth, with denial, with pretending that the end is far away. We hide death behind curtains, behind hospital doors, behind euphemisms. We don't do pass away. We don't talk about coffins, we talk about celebrations of life. And yet, deep down, we all know it's there. Memento mori doesn't ask you to be afraid of death. It asks you to acknowledge it. To live in a way that wouldn't change if you knew your time was running out, because it is. To remember death not to mourn, but to wake up. The Stoics carried it with them. In ancient Rome, a general returning from a victorious battle would ride through the streets, the crowds cheering, flower petals falling at his feet. Behind him, on the same chariot, rode a servant. His job was not to celebrate. His job was to whisper in the general's ear, Memento mori. Remember, you are mortal. No matter how great the moment, how vast the glory, how rich the reward it all fades. This was not said to kill joy. It was said to give it depth. Death makes everything matter. Think about it. If you were going to live forever, what urgency would there be? What would push you to say, "I love you now," instead of someday? To chase your dreams this year, not the next? To forgive while the other person is still alive to hear it? It's precisely because our lives are finite that our choices become meaningful. Memento mori is not a call to sadness. It's a call to intensity. To wake up each morning and say, "This might be my last. Let me make it worthy." To look at the people you care about and think, "I may not have infinite days with them. Let me not waste this one." It gives each moment an edge, a glint of sacred urgency. When you forget, you drift. When you forget that you will die, a subtle poison sets in. You begin to postpone what matters. You put off the conversation. You dull the passion. You stay in the job that slowly suffocates you. You sleepwalk through hours, days, years. You think you have time. You don't. Memento mori is the medicine. It is the finger snapping in front of your eyes saying, "Wake up, now, this is it." The Buddha in the graveyard. In Buddhist practice, particularly in the Thai forest tradition, young monks are sometimes sent to meditate in graveyards, among bones, among decay, among the inevitable. Why? Because when you sit with death, something incredible happens. You become fearless. Fear of death is often the root of all other fears. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of change. Once you make peace with the idea that you will and that everyone you love will die, tohat else is left to be afraid of. You become a warrior in your own life. Not reckless, but resolved. Steve Jobs and the mirror. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, once said something unforgettable. "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important." He used to look in the mirror each morning and ask, "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today?" And if the answer was no, too many days in a row, he knew it was time for a change. That's memento mori in action. A letter to the living. Imagine this idea not as a grim warning, but as a gentle hand on your shoulder. It says, take the trip, write the poem, call your father back. Tell her you love her. Say sorry. Say thank you. Say goodbye when it's time. Don't wait to live until life threatens to leave. We often plan for everything except the one thing guaranteed to happen. Let this be your permission slip to stop waiting. Practicing memento mori. Like any deep truth, this idea only lives if you live it. Here's how you can weave it into your days. 1. Visual reminders. A ring inscribed with memento mori. A skull on your desk not for horror, but for humility. A candle you light at night, naming what you did with the day you'll never get back. 2. Ask the question, if I had only a month to live, what would I change? Who would I spend time with? What would I stop doing? What would I finally begin? And then, begin it. 3. Face it. Don't flee it. Visit a cemetery and walk among the graves. Notice the dates. Reflect on how many people once worried about the same things you worry about now and how it all passed. Let it shrink your ego, not your hope. A strange and holy joy. There's a paradox here. When you accept that you will die, you start to truly live. Life becomes more vivid. The sky seems bluer. Laughter feels deeper. Time slows down, not because the clock changes, but because you do. You stop being merely alive and start being awake. Not every day will be grand, but even an ordinary day becomes a miracle when you realize you don't have infinite ones. Memento mori is not about death. It's about the fire it lights in your soul, and the courage to live in a way that when the end comes you can say, yes, I lived, I was here, I did not waste it. Chapter 3. The dichotomy of control, what you can and cannot change. Some things are up to us and some things are not. Epictetus. The storm and the sailor. Imagine you are a sailor at sea. The sky above you darkens. The wind begins to howl. Thunder cracks in the distance. You can feel the storm gathering. Now ask yourself, what do you control? You do not control the storm. You do not control the wind or the waves or the lightning or the sky. But you do control the sail, the rudder, the strength of your grip, the choices you make in the face of the fury. This is the heart of the Stoic idea known as the dichotomy of control. There are things you control and things you do not, and your life will change the moment you learn the difference. The ancient insight that still saves lives. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, a slave-turned-philosopher, believed this idea was the cornerstone of peace. Everything else in life, they argued, stems from this one truth. Here is how Epictetus put it, blunt and clear. Some things are within our power, and some are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. Translated into modern life, it sounds like this. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control traffic. You cannot control what other people say, do, or feel. You cannot control your past. You cannot control your genetics. You cannot control the ticking clock. But you can control your perspective. You can control your actions. You can control how you respond. You can control what you pursue, what you value, and what you refuse to allow inside your heart. Why this changes everything. Most of us live upside down. We spend our time trying to control the uncontrollable other people's opinions, outcomes, external events. We want life to go our way. We want people to behave. We want guarantees. And in doing so, we hand our peace over to the winds. But when you begin to divide your experience, this is mine, this is Nota, calmness enters. The pressure lifts. The confusion clears. You return to the helm. There is real power in being able to say, that is not up to me, and then letting go. Not as a form of apathy, but as an act of wisdom. Control as a practice, not a statement. The dichotomy of control isn't about blind surrender. It's about strategic surrender. It's not passivity, it's focus. The goal is to pour your energy into the small arena where your choices actually shape reality, your character, your values, your work, your effort, to release your grip on everything else. This idea may sound simple, but simple does not mean easy. Every day, you'll be tempted to cross the line between what's yours and what's not. You'll want people to act a certain way. You'll want events to play out the way you envisioned. You'll feel anger, disappointment, confusion, anxiety. The dichotomy of control reminds you, you do not suffer because things are bad. You suffer because you thought you could control them. The garden and the weather. Think of your mind like a garden. You can till the soil. You can choose the seeds. You can water and care and protect what's growing. But you cannot control the weather. The rain may fall, or it may not. The frost may come early. The pests might arrive. These things are realent. They affect the outcome, but they are not yours to command. What is yours? The daily tending. The return to effort, even when results aren't guaranteed. This is where serenity lives. Real-world examples, the freedom in surrender. A job interview. You can control your preparation, your punctuality, your presence. You cannot control whether you get the job. Let that go. A relationship. You can control how much you love, how honestly you communicate, how deeply you listen. You cannot control whether someone stays. Let that go. A creative project. You can control the work you put in, the hours you dedicate, the sincerity of your expression. You cannot control whether people like it, buy it, or praise it. Let that go. When you stop trying to win every outcome, you start winning your own peace. What happens when you take responsibility only for what's yours? You stop blaming. You stop clinging. You stop fearing things that were never in your hands to begin with. Your mind becomes clearer. Your energy returns. You feel lighter not because the world got easier, but because you stopped trying to carry what doesn't belong to you. This is not about escaping life. It's about engaging life more cleanly, more directly, more honestly. You become less reactive, more deliberate. You start asking in every challenge, what is mine to do here and what is not? What you truly own. Let's draw the line. What you control, your thoughts, your emotions, not what arises, but how you relate to them. Your choices, your actions, your intentions, your goals, your effort, your words, your honesty, your inner life, what you do not control, other people's opinions, outcomes, the past, the future, natural disasters, political decisions, illness, aging, death. To live with clarity is to learn the boundary and honor it every day. A small practice that can shift your entire day. Before responding to anything, an email, an argument, a decision, pause and ask, what part of this is up to me? If the answer is none, then your job is to let go. If the answer is some, then your job is to focus on that part like it's the only thing that matters, because it is. Peace doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from choosing your response, over and over again. This is the source of unshakable power. If someone insults you, you may feel a sting, but your reaction? That's yours. If a project fails, you may feel disappointment, but what you do next? That's yours. If someone leaves you, you may feel pain, but how you carry the grief? That's yours. The dichotomy of control is the line between slavery and freedom. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, your power is no longer diluted. It sharpens, it centers, it returns home to the only place it was ever meant to live, within you. The warrior's calm. This is not about shrinking from the world. It's about standing in it fully, without illusion. It's looking the chaos in the face and saying, I do not control the storm, but I control how I hold the sail. I do not control the outcome, but I control how I walk toward it. This is real strength. This is real courage. Not the absence of vulnerability, but the presence of clarity. Chapter 4. The view from above perspective changes everything. Observe always that everything is the result of change, and get used to thinking that there is nothing nature loves so well as to change existing forms and to make new ones like them. Marcus Aurelius. The small room and the vast sky. Imagine a person sitting in a small room. The room is dim, the walls press close. Outside, life is moving, but inside, it's just them, their worries, their frustrations, their tiny battles, their reflection in the mirror. Everything feels important, urgent, heavy. Now imagine the roof of that room lifting away. Imagine the walls dissolving, the ceiling vanishing, and the camera of your mind pulling up, up through the roof, past the clouds, above the city, higher still, until the person in the room is no more than a dot on a dot. And now, nothing looks the same. This is the view from above, an ancient thought exercise for a modern mind. This idea was one of the most sacred practices of the Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled the world's most powerful empire while writing quiet, private reflections in his journal. In the middle of war, politics, betrayal, and personal loss, he would retreat into this practice. He'd imagine himself floating above the earth. He'd look down at humanity fighting, loving, building, arguing, aging, dying, and then he'd ask, what does it all mean from this altitude? This wasn't to diminish life. It was to reframe it. To remind himself that, often, what we call problems are distortions of proximity. We're too close to see clearly. The view from above widens the frame. Zoom out. See more. We live most of our lives at surface level. We move from errand to errand, call to call, crisis to crisis. And so we forget that the story is bigger than us. We think our inbox defines us. We think that awkward moment defines us. We think our job title, our follower count, our to-do list, our minor failure, our private pain, it all feels like everything. But what if you could float above it? Not to escape it, but to understand it better. What if you could see the whole map, not just the little path you're stumbling along? The cosmic view. Let's try it. Close your eyes, just for a moment. Picture yourself from above. You're sitting in a room. The room is part of a house. The house is on a street, in a neighborhood, in a city, on a continent, spinning on a planet that's hurtling through space at 67.0 miles per hour. Now add time. You are here for a moment. A blink. You are one heartbeat in the chest of history. Now breathe, because this doesn't mean you're insignificant. It means you're part of something vast. And when you understand your smallness, something beautiful happens. You stop trying so hard to be large. You begin to simply be true. Why perspective changes everything. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. From the close-up view, this is a personal insult, an injustice. You tense, you curse, you stew. From the view from above, it's one car in a sea of thousands, driven by a person you will never meet, on a timeline that will never cross yours again, in a life filled with who knows what sorrow or stress. So what's your response now? Maybe compassion, or indifference, or a smile. That's perspective. That's the gift of the sky, the end of self-importance, and the beginning of peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Think of the whole of existence, of which you are a very small part. Think of the whole of time, in which you have been assigned a brief and fleeting moment. Think of fate, and how little of it is yours to control." This wasn't self-pity. This was clarity. When you see yourself as part of a bigger whole, your suffering becomes less sharp, not because it's invalid, but because it finds its place in a greater story. Your mind softens. Your ego steps aside. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "Why not me?" Because everyone suffers, everyone loses, everyone dies. You're not being punished, you're being included. When you need it most, use this practice when you feel overwhelmed, you feel insulted, you feel crushed by grief, you feel like your efforts don't matter, you feel alone. Look up, rise above. Picture the earth as a sphere in space. See the oceans, the forests, the cities that glow like circuits, the spinning blue marble, and then yourself, a flicker of life in all that motion. And ask, does this moment deserve to destroy my peace? What matters, truly, from up here? The view from above does not devalue life, it enriches it. Let's be clear. This isn't about checking out, it's about tuning in from a wiser altitude. It doesn't mean nothing matters. It means what matters becomes clear. Kindness, patience, connection, growth, purpose, presence. Those things are still there, still yours to pursue, but now, without the ego's constant panic. You don't lose your life from up here. You reclaim it. The humbling and the healing. Humility isn't humiliation. It's the recognition that you are part of a grand design, no more, no less than anyone else. From up high, you don't look down on others. You see them beside you. All of us, spinning through space, trying to get it right, trying to love, to be loved, to leave something behind. The view from above makes us gentler. It quiets the ego and opens the heart. We stop comparing our path to others. We stop chasing false importance. We stop pretending we're separate. We start remembering we're part of a single, shared sky. A daily practice to expand your horizon. Here's how to make this more than a theory. Practice this daily, morning or night, in bed or at your desk. Close your eyes. Picture your current moment. You, your surroundings, the people in your life, your thoughts. Zoom out. From your body to your building, your street, your city, the earth. Then space. Then stars. The vastness. Ask, what still matters from up here? Which worries shrink? Which truths remain? Return with clarity. You come back not smaller but more centered. Repeat this whenever the world feels too loud. Perspective is a superpower. The view from above doesn't solve every problem, but it gives you the space to respond instead of react. It loosens the grip of ego. It softens fear. It reminds you, you are not the storm. You are not the noise. You are not the failure or the praise. You are a soul passing through time. And from up here, you can see it all with more grace. Lift up your eyes. From the mountaintop, everything changes. The same road becomes smaller, but the journey becomes clear. That's the gift of the view from above.